From the Fox 26 studios, this is Houston's Morning Show.
The coronavirus has the attention of you, the voter, along with those running for president. So let's get to it this morning with Republican strategist Jacquie Baly, along with Democratic strategist Dallas Jones. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Okay, so we had the first head-to-head debate last night, the first one in 60 years without a live audience. A lot of the key takeaways had to do with the coronavirus. Do you think that this crisis helps Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden more, given that Sanders said this crisis exposes a weakness in the U.S. healthcare system?
Well, if you look at the responses alone, right? So Sanders has a more Medicare for all. That's been his standard for everything. And Biden has a more prudent way of looking at this. In a time of uncertainty, a lot of us are not really looking for a cure-all, but we're looking for really steady, straight answers. From just his answers alone, you would say that Biden has the heads up. But if you look at how it's impacting maybe our primaries and voting patterns, Sanders may have the upper hand because a lot of people are now nervous about even going to vote on Tuesdays. And all of the 4 states that are still going on with their primaries, Biden is projected to be the winner in those states. But what happens if there's a less of a number or a smaller number of people going to the polls to vote because of this pandemic that we're facing? And you will see maybe Sanders will benefit from that.
Dallas, what do you think?
Well, I think I disagree that Sanders has the upper hand if there is any effect to the actual process of voting. But to answer your question directly, I think last night's debate performance favored Joe Biden. I think in these times of uncertainty, as Jackie mentioned, that I think what people want to see most is a steady hand at the wheel. I think as Bernie kind of grasped and reinserted his Medicare for all policy platforms, I think Joe Biden really pointed out his understanding of government, his understanding of having been in the Senate, been in and served in the Obama administration. He had a surefire plan. This is what I would do, whether you agreed with it or not. This is what I would do. I would create field hospitals. I would do this to the markets. This really spoke to the very heart of people's concerns. I will say this, and I hate to say it, but it is true. Regardless of how you felt about Bernie or Biden's performance, both of them did better than Donald Trump. And I think that's what's most important to note in terms of his response and what has made the American people most concerned about his handling of this pandemic.
Well, let's go into that a little bit more. Governors in 5 states now have shut down bars and restaurants. The country, by all accounts, is at a standstill. Jackie, has the president's message, and on down to our local leaders, do you think it's been clear enough, or has there needed to be more blanket orders? And how do you go about enforcing, people from not gathering?
Right. Well, unfortunately, you're still going to have the partisan responses, right? Those who didn't like the president before this pandemic are going to blast him and condemn him for his responses, and those who support him are going to applaud him and thank him for his responses. Look, he has been instrumental in getting $50 billion very quickly to try to combat this disease. His closings of entries into other countries, that has been instrumental. Most doctors have praised him for that as well. He is working now with many doctors throughout the country to try to get testing at a much more expeditious and quickly and safe manner. What we saw in Italy, what we saw in Korea, we're taking lessons from that. Korea was very aggressive in trying to make sure that their people were sequestered, and you're seeing results in a positive way much quicker than you do in other places in Europe. And so by us being very aggressive and trying to limit people, the CDC just ordered that we try to limit any gathering of 50 or more. And by doing that, we are trying to be more aggressive and hopefully try to make sure that this disease within 2 months can be contained and it does not have the widespread effects that we've seen in certain parts of Europe.
How about that, Dallas? It's a brand new disease. What about the president trying to calm the fears of Americans?
Well, first of all, this isn't about partisanship. It really is about all of our lives, and I think many people that were supporters of the president are starting to see that the curtain that the wizard stood behind at Oz is being moved, and we can no longer play governance. Now we have to govern, and people are afraid. How do I feel about his response in trying to calm the nation? Only after he made the nation more frantic by his lack of response. And so yes, it's certain that he should come back and calm the nation because people are afraid. You want to talk about his response? We had 2 months. This is not while it is a new strain of illness, we knew 2 months ago that this was spreading across China and other parts of the world. We turned down health testing kits from the World Health Organization. Right now, our biggest problem is that we don't have enough kits to test people around this country.
And we're going to have to leave it there, Dallas. We are going to be talking about testing and even speaking with the CEO of Methodist Hospital.